back, everybody, to the Figures and Flippy S weekly wrestling recap. We are the show to watch if you want to keep up with WWE, NXT, and AEW and just don't have time to do it. Because we're going to break down a week's worth of wrestling right here. So we're going to try to take 10 hours of content and squeeze it down to under a minute and a half. An hour and a half. Sorry. Yeah.
Well, this is Chris, and I'm Susan.
Yeah.
You never introduce us.
I've only been awake for like 30 minutes. So we're going to go ahead and dive right in and get started. If you like what you're listening to, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and comment. Get those numbers up for us. We would greatly appreciate it. Speaking of numbers, we're going to start with what seems to be the source of all of WWE's numbers these days. We're going to start with the Bloodline. Last week, you and I were pretty irritated that the Bloodline took up 40 minutes of a 2-hour show. Mm-hmm. This time, the Bloodline segment was 10 minutes, but with recaps, I tried to figure it up. If you take the recaps from Raw, the recaps from SmackDown, and the segment itself, I feel like it was pushing 45 minutes to an hour.
Just the recaps are unnecessary. Like, I don't understand why we have to recap in shows. Like, why can't you just refer them to, like, social medias? Mm-hmm. Like, if people wanted to watch a recap, they can go back and watch the recap. I don't need to get the recap whenever I just watched it, like, 3 days ago. Mm-hmm. That annoys me.
Yeah, I would agree with that sentiment. I think, especially in the age of YouTube, like, I could understand if this was, 15 years ago, whenever YouTube wasn't as big as it is now. Mm-hmm. But now with all your, WWE posts all this stuff on Instagram, Twitter, I think it's on their Facebook, their YouTube, Threads. I just don't think there's a need for a long, drawn-out recap like that. No. Now, I'm fine with the video packages before matches because those are typically pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't need the recap. I love the story. Don't make me resent it because you won't get it off my TV.
Right. Exactly.
That being said, the actual Bloodline segment this week was pretty good.
Ooh, yeah.
So Jay came out by himself, cut a promo, called himself the real tribal chief, and he's main event Jey Uso. Then Heyman and Solo came out and interrupted him. And Heyman started the gaslighting, telling Jay that, everything that happened to Jimmy was his fault, and that nobody would forgive him, his family wouldn't forgive him, his tribal chief wouldn't forgive him. And then Solo took the mic from Heyman and told Jay that he would never forgive him. So Solo is all in on the gaslighting at this point.
Yeah.
So what happens with this is Jay and Solo get into a brawl, and Jay actually handles both of them on his own.
Yeah.
Which I think if you're going to have him pursue Roman's title at SummerSlam like we're building to, I think it's good that you're having him handle it on his own.
Let's just point out, though, that Jey Uso has defended not even having a title more times than Roman Reigns ever has defended having his title.
Probably so. But yeah, there was a tease where Heyman was going to get a super kick from Jay, and then Solo attacked him, and the crowd was just so deflated. Well, Heyman ate that super kick later anyway.
Yeah.
And it was so funny because Heyman's so weaselly. Him and Solo were like angrily clutching each other, walking away.
Yeah.
And Heyman's just going, "He hurt me."
Yeah.
But it's funny because Jay is clearly, from this segment, Jay is blaming Paul Heyman for the family trouble. He didn't even blame Roman. He said he wanted revenge on Roman, but he told Heyman it was Heyman's fault that all this was happening.
I could see that because Heyman's kind of been weaselly. Like telling people different things and very manipulating, gaslighting.
I've seen people throw out the idea that they would like to see, after all this settles and the dust settles from the Bloodline, they would love to see Solo move forward as like the big bad heel with Heyman as his manager, but rather than have a faction, Solo just destroys everybody on his own.
Like the next Brock Lesnar, basically?
Kinda. It's a hell of a rub for Solo, considering 2 years ago he was in NXT.
Yeah.
It's a pretty big deal for him. It was a really good segment this week. Definitely check it out. And they set up for next week, Roman will be back, and they're going to discuss the rules of engagement.
I guess my thing is, I was just thinking about Solo and NXT. Like, I get that he's a lot farther along than Ava is, but isn't Ava technically part of the Bloodline also? Mm-hmm. So, like...
But there's no women that's taking issue with the Bloodline.
But they're all about the bloodline, the family. She's literally part of the family. Mm-hmm. But, like, Nobody even acknowledges her.
Maybe within the confines of the story, the elders weren't ready to send her. Because Solo wasn't involved from the beginning. The elders had to send Solo.
AKA the elders don't think she's good enough.
Within the context of
AKA
the story,
Shawn Michaels and Triple H.
if you're looking at it in the context of the story, maybe the elders don't see her as ready.
Okay, but I'm just saying, she is part of the bloodline.
Yeah, she's in the family line, yeah.
Yeah. So AKA the bloodline.
Yeah.
I felt like you were trying to skirt around that.
Well, no, but all I'm saying is like, they need people that are like warriors and ready for battle. Like, if you were going to battle and you had a family of fighters, like let's say your family was a history of fighters, and you had one fighter that was just starting out, just training, would you bring them in for that war?
They did it for Ronda Rousey.
The elders didn't.
But I'm just saying, in the real world, they did it for Ronda Rousey. I'm not talking kayfabeness. I'm talking shoot. Like,
do you want more Ava on your TV?
No, I'm just saying that.
Why are we discussing this?
I don't know. I'm in the mood to pick fights, I guess.
Well, that was a strange first fight to pick, because there's all kinds of arguments of why Ava's not there.
I don't know. It just, I don't know. It's just, they're all about, my thing is, I thought about family and the bloodline. She's literally family, and poo-poo on you. You're not relevant.
Maybe, okay, fine. What if her being involved with Joe Gacy has put her out of contact with her family, and that's why she's not involved?
I guess. Yeah. We can move on, though.
I just love it. This was the first hill you chose to fight on. This is interesting. So that's what's going on with Bloodline. One thing that I don't like is I feel like in the confines of the story, why is nobody taking advantage of the family drama to go after Roman for his title? Like, why doesn't somebody else waltz up and be like, hey, this looks like a shitty situation. Maybe I could get something out of it. Damian Priest.
I know. Why are you like sinking your ship on Seth Rollins?
Yeah, and you're over there fighting with Finn. Why don't you just say, hey, Finn, you take Seth. I'm going to go deal with this little mess over here and try to get a title.
I know. It was very funny to me because on SmackDown they're talking about, the historic reign of Roman Reigns. He was 1,047 days or 48 days or something. And it's like, I'm sorry, has he even defended his title?
Nobody's even challenged him until Jay did.
So, like, I am so tired of this historic reign shit. Like, if you don't fight, it's not historic to me. The numbers don't mean shit to me.
Yeah.
I'm so over that. It just pisses me off every time I see that. Because it's like, no. I'm not going to go with your fake narrative that you're trying to get us to think of. Like, no.
It's like I've had my bowling ball a historic amount of time, but I've only used it once in the last 5 years.
Right? Like, it only counts if you freaking do something about it. Having it itself is not historic to me. No. You have to defend it.
Yeah.
It's like the Charlotte Flair thing. With like, I mean, I know that like Charlotte Flair's like the numbers, but like, I guess Roman Reigns is too at this time, the numbers for how long he's had the title. And it's just like, it's not exciting to me anymore. He never freaking defends it.
He hasn't defended it since Mania.
I just don't care about him and his title anymore.
When was Mania? April?
Yeah.
And we're in July?
I take that back. I care about him because of the Usos. If like the Bloodline storyline wasn't happening, I would not give a shit about Roman Reigns. I would be so annoyed by him because he doesn't do shit with his title.
Like you were with Brock Lesnar a couple years ago.
Yes. So, like, I guess Roman Reigns is lucky that he's in a good storyline because that's the only reason why I give a shit about him.
Yeah. Well, wow, I was ready to move on from the Bloodline, and we stuck around for a little bit.
I'm feeling cranky today, so...
Oh, boy. Raging wrestling bitch might be out later.
I have a headache, so, like, nothing's going to sit
Yeah,
well.
and I have something on the docket to discuss that you don't like, so
I probably just won't talk. To keep my anger in check.
Maybe. But, yeah, I think it's weird that they haven't explained why nobody's gone after Roman while his family's in turmoil. I feel like this would be the opportune time to strike. But, what do I know? I'm just here talking about it on the internet, and there's guys out there paid billions of dollars to make these stories.
Sometimes they're shit stories and they get paid a lot. I guess kudos to you for being rich and shitty at your job.
Yeah. Speaking of Damian Priest, let's go ahead and move over to the World Heavyweight title scene. So Rollins is still our champion. The Judgment Day is really the only people that have stepped to him. Nobody else on Raw has seemed to have any. Well, Cody did for about 5 seconds before Brock Lesnar showed up.
Yeah.
But they had a 6-man this week. It was Rollins, Zayn, and Owens against the 3 members of the Judgment Day. And they are telling the story that the Judgment Day is reunited and on the same page. And they're actually, when you include NXT, when they beat Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams, Judgment Day is on a little bit of a winning streak.
They are.
But it still seems like there's some animosity there, I guess, because Priest said something about to Balor. He was like, don't worry, if you can't do it, then we'll have it covered.
Yes.
And Balor was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
So, I know it definitely seems like they're not done fighting, but it definitely seems like it's kind of in that last gasp before the wheels start to come off.
Yeah.
And Rhea Ripley is kind of the glue holding everything together right now.
Yeah.
Which is really funny because she's spent so much time with Dominic, who just goes around and is a shit to everyone.
Yeah.
But yet she's holding this powerful faction together by the strings.
It kind of sucks though, because since she's doing that, her title's getting forgotten about.
Yeah, because now that this week we didn't do anything with that.
Yeah.
Well, she did kind of have a stare down with Raquel, but Raquel already has a title. Look at all the other women that don't. Like,
right.
Build new stars.
Like, if you're wanting somebody like bigger built like Rhea, then like, I mean, maybe that's your fault for only getting really skinny women, like really small women. Like, there's many bigger women out there in the wrestling world.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't know why she's not feuding with do a mini feud with Piper Niven, build her back up.
where's Piper Niven been?
Main event? I don't know. Nikki Cross just graduated college, so she'll be back soon.
She got her master's.
But I feel like they've kind of nerfed Nikki Cross a little bit. Like, she doesn't feel like a
Like,
legit
her
contender.
storyline, legit, it's like they just forgot about Nikki Cross, and then they'd randomly be like, oh yeah, she's supposed to be making friends, and then randomly pop her out like Candice LeRae's matches, and it's like, I don't know.
Run it back in NXT what you did with Indy Hartwell, the girl that couldn't get it done. She could have great matches with Rhea where she just comes up short, but she gets over as a result of coming so close. I think that's a great place you could stick Indy Hartwell.
That was actually my thought, because I know she's been wrestling on Main Event.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just do something. Like, I understand the Judgment Day is kind of Raw's Bloodline.
But you can't forget about the woman.
No, you
can't.
You
tend to forget about the women anyway.
Mm-hmm.
They're always an afterthought, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it's like Charlotte Flair.
I know we're twiddling our thumbs until we get Rhea and Becky, and I feel like they're going to save that for Mania, because I feel like they're going to have Becky win the Royal Rumble. Or the Elimination Chamber, one of the two. But SummerSlam's right there. It's, I think, 3 or 4 weeks away. So she needs somebody to have like a high-profile SummerSlam match with. And we're clearly going with Becky Trish, so
I don't know.
You might want to start building somebody now.
Maybe it's starting to. Maybe it is going to be Raquel. I mean, people have more than one title.
Yeah, and I'm not a big fan of that, because especially when you have a huge roster like that, there's no reason to put 2 titles on one person.
Especially the women, who don't really get to shine as much as the men anyway. I'm not interested in the feud between Rhea and Raquel, because Raquel's just going to smile and flex her back. My wish would be that Rhea would destroy her.
Yeah.
Smile then, Raquel. She even got into a fight backstage right before she went out, and she still went out smiling. Why not let her show some, resentment? Why does she have to? It's like Finn.
Well, she wasn't smiling when she first walked out there. She was still mad when she first walked out there, but she, bucked herself up. Yeah.
I just don't care.
But basically, I kind of want somebody else to kind of be nipping at Seth as well, in addition to the Judgment Day. If you can stack the odds more. They're doing a really good job with this with Asuka.
They are, actually.
Look how much Asuka has to deal with. Asuka has to deal with Io and Bayley, who just lurking around being obnoxious. Bianca and Charlotte are in their own battle,
They're in their
where Asuka's essentially forgotten.
Asuka, and Charlotte and Bianca are in this own little delusional land of, being the greatest, and they don't even have titles, and it's
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So, do these things with the men, too. It's working out well for Asuka.
Yeah.
It's giving Asuka a lot to have to worry about.
Right? I was kind of worried. I thought for sure that Asuka was going to get cashed in on last night on SmackDown.
I like that it seems like we're going to hold on to the briefcase.
I like that. I didn't want it to happen. I want them to hold on to it. Like, why do they have to cash in like a week?
Yeah.
But, yeah.
But we'll see. So that covers the World Heavyweight title picture. That actually kind of covers our Money in the Bank point, too. And we covered the WWE Women. So we just knocked out 3 of our outline lists right there.
All because I can't focus.
Yeah. The next one we have not touched on yet. So we're definitely building to McIntyre and Gunther at SummerSlam. By way of McIntyre becoming friends with Riddle. So him and Riddle had a match this week against Vinci and Giovanni Vinci and Ludwig Kaiser. And Imperium lost, which I see the argument a lot. That everybody's like, man, why does Imperium always lose? Like, Gunther wins, so Imperium can always lose. We finally did something with that because Vinci got his ass chewed.
Yeah.
Gunther chewed his ass out on the ring for losing.
And he just left him.
Yeah.
Him
and then Kaiser walked away. So...
I feel like they need to win some. Like, Gunther can win all they want, but, like, they don't look like a credible threat because they never win.
Yeah.
Then they just attack after, and they're like, oh, we're victorious. And it's like, no, you just attacked after the match. You didn't win anything.
Yeah, and Imperium's good enough to be legit.
They are.
Yeah. Like, I think maybe it's because they're around Gunther a lot, but I think Kaiser and Vinci are a couple of the most underrated guys in WWE.
Yeah.
You don't agree?
I just don't really think about them, honestly, until they're on my screen. But I can see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Maybe if they won more, they wouldn't be an afterthought to me.
Yeah, there you go. There you go, because whenever you see them come out, you're like, well, they're losing.
I can never even remember both people's names. I either remember Vinci or Kaiser. I never remember them both. Like, in my notes, I just put Gunther spoke loudly to Vinci, and I left it blank because I couldn't remember Kaiser's name.
Yeah. Well, Gunther didn't direct anything at Kaiser.
I know.
So it kind of worked out.
I know, because I was going to say, and Kaiser kind of like looked at Vinci and walked away, but I couldn't remember. I can't remember both their names.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's what's going on with Imperium, and Riddle is going to take on Gunther next week, and McIntyre was like, "Why don't you wait? I'm not going to be here." You know, and Riddle's like, "It's okay. I got Vinci and Kaiser banned from ringside. It's going to be fine." And it's like, yeah, we've seen a few people got banned from ringside that have just strolled on back with no problem.
Yeah.
Solo Sikoa, Don Callis, across everything. So that's what's going on with Imperium and Gunther's title. The U.S. title, I have seen so many, and I'm in agreement. I have seen so many people that have said that they are done with Theory as U.S. champion. They feel like it hasn't done anything.
No.
So what we did is we're going to have 2 Fatal 4-Ways. We had one last night, and we're going to have one next week. Last night's had AJ Styles, Santos Escobar, Grayson Waller, and Butch. I can't believe I remembered all 4.
It was a good match.
It was. Escobar won, which was a surprise. That's fun. Let Escobar do that.
Yeah, but he was my last choice to pick winning, so I'm kind of disappointed.
Where I have an issue is I don't think he should have pinned Grayson Waller.
Who do you think he should have pinned? I mean, Styles could have taken it. Styles is kind of an older talent. Like, I feel like he's getting close to that point now where he needs to elevate the younger.
Yeah, but they had Styles leave the match because for some reason Styles is still feuding with Karrion Kross.
Which was
like they literally had like a 3-minute match last week.
Yeah.
And we're still going to continue the feud. Like, I felt last week was like the definitive end of the feud.
And I didn't like last week, maybe it was last week, where Scarlett Bordeaux was like acting all sexual with AJ Styles. And I didn't like that. Maybe that was 2 weeks ago. I didn't like that. I was like...
Scarlett obviously doesn't know about Wendy.
She already looks so sexual anyway in a place where women are trying to be taken more seriously, and I'm not shaming her in any way by what she wears. But why would you have her go and act sexual in front of your husband and somebody that's already married? I don't understand it. I didn't like that. That's not use Scarlett Bordeaux just as like a sex symbol.
What if that's what their character is, though?
I feel like it's 2023 though, and I feel like you should evolve from. I feel like you should be more than just a pretty face if you're a women's wrestler. I don't care if you're a ho-ho or anything else. I do not care. I do not judge. You do you. But like, I feel like in wrestling, women are already way too objectified. They're still seen as sex symbols still, like sex objects to some men. We've been to wrestling shows. We know how they treat women and the fans in the stand. So like,
especially at like indie shows.
Yes. So like, why go backwards and make this one super sexual whenever there's some women out there trying to move forward from that? Why go backwards when society itself is trying to move forward?
Didn't expect to go on a Scarlett Bordeaux tangent today. Man, you're just bringing in the strange arguments.
I'm just not feeling the greatest today, so I'm taking it out on everybody.
Well, honestly, I kind of like it. I like that we're talking about stuff that normally would probably just get glossed over. It's kind of fun having you pick random fights like that. Now, next week's Fatal 4-Way, so the winners of the 2 4-Ways are going to fight in 2 weeks. So Santos is in. Next week, we have Rey Mysterio, Sheamus, Cameron Grimes, and LA Knight is the other Fatal 4-Way. And maybe I'm getting my hopes up, but I really feel like LA Knight's about to make an impact.
You
because
thought LA Knight was going to win the ladder match too.
I didn't think they would pull the trigger on him then. I kind of figured they would go with Priest because that's kind of the angle we were going with. But the reason that I have hope is because 3 of the 4 had a backstage or had like a pre-tape promo for the match, and it was pretty short. One person got a live mic and got to go out in front of the crowd. Who was the one person?
He got like a standing ovation when he walked
did.
out. As
That
soon as
crowd-
his music hit.
That crowd was rabid to see him, and they were so loud.
Yeah.
So loud. So Raleigh, good job keeping the LA Knight train going. I mean, they were so loud. Like I felt like it was even like he was even getting more fired up with it. Like
Yeah.
I'm ready for LA Knight's ascension, and I'm ready for LA Knight to take the U.S. title off Austin Theory. And I feel like where everybody is so burned out on Austin Theory, doesn't feel like it's really going anywhere, I think LA Knight would be a great choice to take that title off of him. But it's WWE, and I worry that LA Knight's going to lose just so they can try to get Theory booed louder to get him some kind of reaction. Because they clearly want to do something with Austin Theory.
Austin Theory's boring as shit. I mean, I think he's a good wrestler, but he is so freaking boring. He
like,
has, like, you can't just be a pretty smile, Austin Theory. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I kind of feel like he's the Bizarro Karrion Kross, where I care about what he does in the ring, but outside of the ring, I'm indifferent. Just like with Karrion Kross, I like what he does outside the ring. I think his character works really good. It's just in the ring leaves a lot to be desired. So we'll go ahead and pivot from the U.S. title, prayer circle for LA Knight for next week.
Prayer circle.
And against Santos. I like Santos, but Santos, it's LA Knight's time. I'm sorry. For the women's tag, so we had Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville beat KC2 again. Please stop beating KC2. Really quickly. KC2 has the ability to get mega over.
So I don't understand, and I love Chelsea Green, but Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville, I don't think are even close to K2's skill level.
Kaden Carter and Katana Chance.
Whatever their name is, whatever. Yeah. They are not even close to their skill level, I think.
Those two are pretty damn good. And they work so well together.
Are you talking about KC2?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I should have specified. I like the Sonya Chelsea Green team.
Me too.
I think it's serving its purpose.
Yeah.
But I don't think we need to do it at the expense of Kaden Carter and Katana Chance.
No, because they clearly are good. Like, their moves are like... Whenever I think of what a women's tag team should be like, I think of KC2.
I just wonder, did they only bring up Alba Fire and Isla Dawn to lose those titles to Shayna and Ronda? Because they haven't done anything before or since except for like a promo, I think.
That's why I don't understand why you take a title from NXT, who clearly does well with women, and you take it from them, bring it up to the main roster, consolidate it, and then it's just like...
Yeah, we didn't even get a new belt.
No.
They just, like, it's different. Like, Roman got a new belt at least.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. That's a question mark to me. I would like to know more about why that decision was made.
Because they didn't have enough time for the women, is my guess. The women had too many titles and didn't know how to feature them on the show.
I mean, I've been saying this for months. They could fix this by introducing a women's mid-card title in NXT, and I think it would work well there.
Yeah.
I think it would absolutely work well there. So let's go into some of our non-title stories. So Cody Brock. Cody cut a promo on Brock. Pretty much said that everybody has their Brock Lesnar. Everybody has something that keeps them from accomplishing what they want to do. My Brock Lesnar is money.
Cody Rhodes said the same thing he says every week. He just used different words to say it.
Okay. You've started to turn on Cody a little bit, I feel like.
I know, I have. I don't know what it is about Cody Rhodes, but something gets under my skin with him. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's... I kind of feel like AEW. I kind of feel like WWE has always shoved him down my throat a little bit. And you know that's the thing I do not like. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm turning on Roman Reigns. Like, I don't like to feel like you're forcing me to like somebody. Mm-hmm. I don't like them. I don't like to be told what to do. Mm-hmm. So, like... And I can acknowledge that Cody Rhodes is damn good at what he does. Mm-hmm. But I swear to freaking God, I do not want to have to see a recap for like the millionth time that I watched happen. Like, it's so annoying. And I think that's why I'm turning on Cody Rhodes. Mm-hmm. And he says the same thing every week. He's always this guy that just... He's the good guy. He comes out and pumps up the crowd, acknowledges the fans, tells them he loves them. And then it's always the same outcome. Like, it's so boring to me. Did I not say that while watching the show?
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
So this isn't like a bitter Susan moment. I legit thought this in the moment watching the show.
Yeah. I'm interested to see what he does after Brock. I hope he beats Brock at SummerSlam.
Maybe I'm just bored with the Brock thing. I don't know. Maybe that could be it.
I mean, maybe you just need somebody there. Maybe the problem is that Cody's doing too much of the heavy lifting by himself because Brock's schedule is so intermittent. Maybe you need somebody like
that I can see both sides of things.
Like with Dom. Like, we got Dom every week.
That's true. I didn't mind
Cody.
Cody Rhodes at that point, actually.
Yeah, when he was feuding with Roman, he didn't always have Roman, but he had Heyman.
True. That's true. It's just like one-sided, and it's the same thing every week, and it's just. So maybe if he moves away from Brock, I'll like him more. But right now, I'm kind of starting to sour on Cody Rhodes. Mm-hmm. I did the same thing in AEW, though. I started to sour on him in AEW.
Well, everybody did. Probably part of the reason he's not there anymore.
I'm just saying, though, like, there's just something about Cody Rhodes that gets under my skin. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, we have Chris, that he walks out, and he's like, oh, he's just such a good guy. Oh, my God, he is such a great guy. Look at him talking to those fans. And then I'm just like, oh my God, he's talking to the freaking fans. Like, he's doing the same shit again. It's very complete difference in this household. You know that's what you do.
But, I can say, at least we both know whose game it is. LA Knight's game. We can get on the same page about LA Knight. Moving on to our other person that we really need to be champion, but we don't want him to be champion yet, so let's put him in a big feud, Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus.
She doesn't need to be champion of anything.
No, but I think she's going to win the Royal Rumble.
She's big enough to not have to be a champion.
I think she's going to beat Rhea.
Because if she takes the belt, she's just such a big name, I feel like it kind of makes it hard for anybody else. So, like...
At least she shows up every week.
Right, but...
Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, and I like Becky Lynch. It's just, I just don't think she needs a title.
She doesn't need a title. I was saying that more as like a kind of a joke. But anyway, Becky Lynch had a match against Zoe Stark this week, and Zoe Stark beat her.
Yeah.
I mean, it was cheating, obviously, because Zoe's a heel. But I feel like it really says something about Zoe Stark that they gave her that win. Because they don't have many people beat Becky Lynch.
So I know whenever Zoe was in NXT, there's in the videos, Better Susan was, no, it was her, where it was like, I thought she was like a very boring heel. Mm-hmm. But they move her up to the main roster, and I was questioning that. I was like, yeah, she's good, but like she is so boring and generic heel to me. But I like her. I really like her teamed up with Stratus. Mm-hmm. Because Stratus is definitely that personality. And Zoe is more like, she's the muscle. Yeah. So I like them teamed up. Yeah. Sorry, I say tiered up. Teamed up. But,
yeah. So we're definitely barreling towards Lynch and Stratus at SummerSlam. Mm-hmm. I think Lynch should beat Trish Stratus and move on. To what? I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I think they're going to save her and Rhea for WrestleMania.
Yeah.
I really feel like they're going to do that.
Yeah.
Our next other feud that I want to talk about is another women's feud. We have three women's stories here in a row.
Oh my goodness, look at you, WWE, featuring women.
Shayna and Ronda.
Ronda just looks so damn sloppy. I cannot stand her wrestling. I cannot.
Mm-hmm.
You did have a counterpoint whenever she came out and she because Shayna came out. Shayna has more personality than she's ever had before.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm starting to like Shayna more. Mm-hmm. Granted, she's against Ronda Rousey, and I just do not like Ronda Rousey.
Mm-hmm.
But she came out though, and as soon as Ronda got into that ring, did I not say, "Oh my God, she looks so sloppy"?
Mm-hmm.
But you did have it. You said something. Oh, we're supposed to look like they're brawling.
Yeah, and brawls aren't pretty. Have you ever seen two people fight in real life that?
No, I've never witnessed a fight in my life.
It's not pretty.
I'm being sarcastic.
Yeah.
I know that, but they don't look like Ronda Rousey trying to fight, which is crazy because she's a freaking MMA fighter. So I don't feel like I should have to say trying to fight with her, but it looked like she was trying to fight somebody very sloppily.
Have you ever seen a UFC match?
No, I don't want to watch them. Is that what they're like? Maybe that's why
they
I
look
don't
like
like
that
her.
sometimes.
Maybe that's why I don't like her, because I don't like Marina Shafir.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like how sloppy it looks.
Mm-hmm.
That just looks not safe to me.
Yeah. You like your wrestling to look pretty.
And safe.
Yeah.
I don't want somebody to look like you're going to murder them because you can't. There was one point she struggled to just put her leg over Shayna. I don't want you to hurt somebody because you can't do a simple thing like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Not a fan.
I think we're definitely getting there with SummerSlam, and I think this is going to be Ronda's final
I think she's
feud.
leaving.
Yeah, I think so.
So excited. And I hope she doesn't come back.
I think so, and I think what they need to do is, honestly, what they could do is have Shayna beat Ronda, and then you built Shayna up enough, I think, by just beating Ronda. Let Shayna go after Rhea Ripley. That could be a fun feud for a little bit. They did it in NXT. Rhea's the one that ended Shayna's 2-year reign. Mm-hmm. So there's history there.
There is.
And all you've done is flip the alignments. And the last WWE women's story to talk about, well, let's go to Shotzi first.
Girl.
Bayley broke Shotzi.
Yeah. She shaved her head in this video segment, and she was like, "Do I look scared to you?" And it looked like somebody, the way the video was being shot, it looked like somebody was literally losing their mind.
Yeah.
She was did she? I think she laughed at one point too, very creepily.
It looked like a villain origin story. I saw people say they were hoping this was going to be a hair versus hair match. Honestly, I'm fine with skipping that because there is no way in hell I would have believed that Bayley was going to lose her hair because she's been growing it back out.
I wouldn't have believed that Shotzi was going to shave her head, though, until I saw it.
I would believe more that Shotzi would do it than Bayley.
I guess I just didn't see it coming.
Yeah. But for me, what I really liked about this segment was we kept cutting to Io and Bayley's reactions.
Bayley looked terrified.
They definitely looked like somebody they didn't realize how far they had pushed it.
As Bayley's still holding that, the lock of
one
green
strand,
hair.
and she just keeps looking at it well. And I guess I missed it because I was focused on Bayley, but apparently Io had a really funny facial reaction as well.
I was just so focused on Bayley's expression because she just looked straight up terrified. Because Shotzi kept saying, you have no power over me. You think you have power, you do not. Which is why she shaved her hair, because she was like, you have my one lock of hair, Bayley, but you do not control me. So I like that. I'm all about not being controlled.
I just love the idea that Bayley's obnoxiousness finally went too far with one person.
Shotzi.
Of all people, it broke Shotzi. Bianca held up, Asuka held up, Io and Dakota have held up, but Shotzi was the one that just broke. Error, your program needs restarted. Broke.
But I'm excited to see where this goes.
I'm excited to watch Bayley in this match run for her life.
I always honestly, I like when women get to do stuff like that, where it's it doesn't matter what they look like, they're just doing fun stuff like that. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Well, I'm not saying
you don't get that much with women. They're all about their looks in wrestling.
Yeah.
So
I'm not saying I didn't enjoy it. I'm very interested to see where it goes.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what Shotzi looks like coming out the other side.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like I said, I can't wait for I really enjoy Bayley's antics. I really get a kick out of Bayley.
I know.
I'm ready for it.
I'm very happy that Bayley won her match against Zelina Vega.
That's right. Yeah, it was Zelina Vega.
Yeah. But yeah, so she won her match, which was good for Bayley because Bayley needed a win. And Zelina Vega, she's not featured, but she's you can tell that she's been like working on her wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I'm happy that Bayley won. I'm happy that Bayley's obnoxious. I love heel Bayley.
Yeah.
And I like Io and Bayley together. Nothing against Dakota Kai, but I really like those two together.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Like, yeah, and I'm waiting for Bayley to screw up Io's cash in or do something.
Yeah.
But you mentioned Maxine earlier, so we'll go over to the Alpha Academy.
She graduated.
Which is good for her. I'm kind of done with the Alpha Academy and Viking Raiders.
Yeah, Valhalla came and took her jacket because I guess that's what Vikings do. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, they pillage. I just want Alpha Academy to feud with somebody else. I want Alpha Academy to be legit, like funny but legit.
I mean, they won.
Yeah. I mean, they have the leg up on this feud. That's why Maxine was graduating.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm not going to complain because I've gotten Gable and Otis on my screen consistently now for almost a month.
Yeah.
So I am not going to turn my nose up at that.
Very true.
Yeah. But yeah, I definitely think that we could book Alpha Academy similar to the way that Kurt Angle used to be booked.
I agree. Yeah. And you can still have him do silly things. Kurt Angle was silly as shit.
Yeah.
Like he did the most ridiculous, or like, is it most ridiculous?
Yeah.
Whatever the grammar is.
Yeah.
He's done the most ridiculous stuff. So like, yeah.
Yeah, especially with Edge and Christian.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, you should check out sometime on YouTube if you're bored. You should go back and look at some clips of him, Edge, and Christian together.
I have watched some.
Oh, they're hilarious.
Yeah.
They're hilarious. The next one I have on my list is Ciampa. So Ciampa and The Miz fought this week, and Bronson Reed seems to be aligning with The Miz. And The Miz got a win. And I think you even pointed out, you were like, is that the first time The Miz has won in a while?
That's the first time he's won in 200 some days. I saw it on social media.
Holy crap.
And it's like, okay, like, I like The Miz, but why Ciampa? Why the great Ciampa?
I kind of feel like what we might be doing, and I could be dead wrong, but what I feel like we are doing is we're going to have Bronson Reed with The Miz. We're going to have Gargano help out Ciampa. That's going to help reform DIY.
But I thought Johnny Gargano was with The Way.
Ciampa's part of that too.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Now, I think he's that part of that now.
Oh, well, you made it seem like that was something that was just known. Like he was just always part of it.
I'm not 100% sure because we weren't watching NXT during the Way days.
No.
So I don't know if he was ever officially a part of it or not. I'm not sure. Because I think for a while the Way was a heel faction too. Because when we left off on NXT, Gargano was heel.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm wondering if we're kind of moving toward DIY. But speaking of NXT tag teams, I listed them here, not because anything really significant happened this week. They just beat the Brawling Brutes, which they've done a couple times. But I'm really impressed that they've treated Pretty Deadly like such a big deal and such a serious threat.
If Vince were here, they would not, because Vince would see them
comedy
as a joke.
Jobbers. Comedy jobbers.
Yeah.
So I really like that Pretty Deadly is treated seriously. They had their tag match, they lost it, but their entrance, man, their entrance just sounds like it just looks like an 80s party.
That's why you like them. Anything 80s.
Probably. I'm all about the 80s.
You
man.
are.
I am. So I think that covers everything main roster this week that I wanted to talk about. Is there anything else that you had noted or anything you wanted to bring up?
No.
Okay. Well, we can go ahead and move on to NXT, but overall, I felt main roster had a pretty good week. Raw and SmackDown are consistently pretty good at this point.
Yeah.
I've never watched any of them.
Bloodline stuff.
Yeah. But I haven't watched Raw or SmackDown in a while and been like, wow, that was a bad show. That was a waste of my time.
Yeah.
I haven't felt that way about main roster WWE for a while.
If they keep doing these long ass video segments and shit for the Bloodline, I'm going to start to turn a little bit more because I'm getting tired of seeing them. You could have so much more storylines progressing, but instead you focus on a damn recap that we've already seen.
Mm-hmm. When you've already posted it on social media.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I get
You're taking time away from the other talent because you want to focus on the storyline so much.
Yeah.
That's my biggest gripe with WWE right now.
And I will say,
which is kind of a minor gripe,
honestly. I will say maybe it's also to kind of help the live crowd out because like it's hard to stay energized during a whole show. We've seen many shows where like the crowd kind of fell apart because I got exhausted. So it sucks for us on
a 40-minute video package to help pump
Well,
them back up.
no, because I see your point. Because you could also do like a backstage segment in this place. So
Yes.
fair enough.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and move over to NXT. We already touched on our first topic here. Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams are battling with the Judgment Day. So Judgment Day's across 2 shows now.
Which I'm here for.
Which I have to ask you, why are you okay with that? Why do you not feel like the Judgment Day is being shoved down your throat?
Because we don't get recap after recap after recap for them.
Okay.
The main recaps we get, Cody Rhodes, Bloodline.
Okay. Fair enough.
Cody Rhodes, Brock Lesnar, I guess.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Well, Melo and Trick lost. But Melo, while he's worried about Judgment Day, he has some other things to worry about because they had a number 1 contenders match between Braun Breaker and Ilya Dragunov. And honestly, this was probably... No. Well, yeah, because technically the other match was part of last week. This is my match of the week.
I remember I noted, you said that match slapped and slapped hard.
It did. That match was fantastic. Those two killed each other. And I am going to go ahead and say it. Braun Breaker has the best spear in wrestling right now.
You do love his spear. You literally get way too excited for his spear.
Well, what I like about it is, and I hate to say it, but the worst spear is Bobby Lashley. But what I like...
there's somebody in AEW that has a pretty crappy spear that I always make fun of. Who is that? Maybe it is Bobby Lashley I make fun of.
Because he just kind of like...
It's
like a clothesline to their gut and he twirls through.
Doesn't somebody in AEW do it though and I always make fun of their clothesline? Or maybe it is Bobby Lashley.
Maybe. Speaking of Bobby Lashley, we forgot. Apparently him and the Street Profits are going to team up moving forward. I'm interested to see where that goes. Because he came and he picked them up and they left. So I'm interested to see what's happening
Yeah,
there.
because Bobby Lashley's kind of boring to me.
Yeah, but I'm glad he's back because I want to see what he does.
I mean, he's big and muscly. I think he's one of the better big and muscly wrestlers. Because I typically don't like big and muscly wrestlers, like because they can't do as much. But
yeah.
But
yeah, we neglected.
Basically, I just don't like Braun Strowman's wrestling. But
yeah, I don't know if we have an update on him or not.
I don't know.
But anyway, yeah, Breaker and Dragunov killed each other, and the reason I say that Breaker has the best spear in wrestling is because Breaker, it reminds me of Goldberg's spears because not only do they snap back, but he goes through with them and drives them into the ground. And there was a spot where Ilya jumped off the top rope and Braun speared him out of midair, and I looked at you, as soon as that happened, I was like, Ilya's dead.
Well, don't let Bret Hart
killed him.
Don't let Bret Hart hear you compare him to Goldberg, because he would never like Breaker then.
Well, what's funny is Breaker even has the Goldberg tattoo on his arm.
Oh,
which is funny.
Ew.
Yeah. But,
why get a wrestler that's known for being shitty?
I don't know. I mean,
I guess if you have a dad that's shitty, you might associate with shittiness in wrestling. I don't know.
Maybe. But I love Braun's spear. When he hits it, I get enjoyment out of it, and I'm really enjoying heel Braun. But Ilya won.
He is better than boring babyface Braun.
Yeah. But Ilya
all that Braun ever did was fish whenever he was a face. That was boring.
Maybe he didn't catch some fish for a while. That's why he's here.
Maybe.
But Ilya won the match, so we're going to get Ilya and Melo at Great American Bash. I think that match is going to be good, too. I really like Ilya Dragunov. I love his intensity. I love his wrestling style. I love his energy. I really like Ilya Dragunov.
I like him.
Yeah. When he's around, I know shit's going to go down.
He's a goofy little shit.
Yeah. I know shit's going to go down. And then he's okay with that. Switching gears over to the women's title. So Tiffany Stratton is going to face Ivy Nile, I think, this coming week. I don't think they've fought yet.
I don't think so, because she was in the ring and, like, the Chase U fans, like, overpowered her, where she went into, like, whiny, screechy mode.
Yeah. And they're talking about getting Thea Hale a rematch. So they definitely have some challengers lined up for Tiffany Stratton, and I like that it's talent that we don't see all the time. Like, it's not Roxanne's and JC James and Gigi Dolan's. We're building more stars in NXT, and that's why I kind of noted here. I think the crop of women in NXT might be my favorite women's roster in wrestling.
That we watch.
Yes.
I've heard that Impact is still better. Mm-hmm. I've heard that Impact, the show itself, is just really good right now.
So yeah, I really like what NXT's women's doing. The NXT women are doing. I think their roster is really good, and I think it paints a really bright future for women in WWE.
I agree.
And if they don't stay on main roster, it's going to be a good pool of talent for AEW to pick through as well.
NXT has a lot of good women's talent, and they use them so well.
Yeah.
It's not always predictable. I like that.
Yeah. Baron Corbin. It still seems like he's in the middle of his repackage where he's not going to have a gimmick.
Right? He went to this, he like traveled to this, he was like, who am I? What do I do now? Like this whole thing, he traveled to the middle of nowhere in these woods.
I saw people
and,
online,
like,
they were like, is that Bray Wyatt's woods? Like,
somebody was just like waiting for him in the woods.
Yeah.
And I'm like, who the hell is waiting for Baron Corbin?
Yeah, I'm really interested to see
this?
what they're going to do with Baron Corbin.
Like at first I thought it was Baron Corbin, like with his back turned. I'm like, well no, he's by his car. Like who was in the woods waiting for Corbin?
Yeah. So I'm not sure where it's going, but I'm intrigued enough.
Like, goddamn it, you got me intrigued in Baron Corbin. Which
Yeah,
I've never not liked Baron Corbin. I've always liked his moveset. I like that move where he, like, slides out of the ring and runs back in. What move is that? You know all the move names.
Slides out of the ring.
Oh, that's not a move name?
No.
Oh, I don't know. I really like Baron Corbin. But his gimmick has always been boring to me. So, like, if you can get it to where... Actually, I didn't mind him as the Lone Wolf.
Yeah, Baron Corbin has a great moveset.
He does.
He has
you
a
just
great
need to find
big man's
a good gimmick for him because he's good on the mic. Like I think he's gotten better about that. Like he just needs to have a good gimmick, and I think he'll be good to go.
His brief feud he had with Melo was really good for him.
It was, yes.
I think that was really good for him.
Yes.
The last thing that I have noted from NXT, one thing I do want to bring up, I think it's still funny that Noam Dar is mourning the Heritage Cup.
Yeah.
Because I think there's been pictures posted on social media where he's like sitting in a park with a bottle of wine, like depressed. Like, his hair's all disheveled. And,
oh man, that's funny.
It's funny. Noam Dar is low key really, really funny. The last major thing that happened on NXT story wise was Stax and Joe Coffey had their match, and it was definitely teased. So this was kind of a little bit confusing. Because I think they took a story that had a simple concept. I think we might have overcomplicated it just a bit. So this match was determined if Tony D'Angelo was going to go to trial or if he was going to be released, which is not how justice works, but we'll roll with it because it's the world of fiction. And honestly, the stipulation is just so ridiculous, it cracks me up.
Yeah.
But anyway, Stax and Joe Coffey had their match. Joe Coffey at one point tried to pin Stax. It looked like it was going to end early. It looked like Stax essentially got squashed. And then Stax kicked out, and Joe Coffey was like, oh, I thought we had an agreement. And Stax was like, I ain't no snitch. And then they went to war. And I guess they were trying to tell the story that, like, Stax was trying to make Joe Coffey think that he was with them, but really he was manipulating him to get this match, to get Tony D'Angelo. It's quite complicated.
And then D'Angelo came over the speakers at one point.
Yeah, it was like cheering him on, like he called from prison.
What?
Like,
that's not how phone calls work in prison.
Like there's a lot of crazy stuff that went into this. No disrespect, essentially a mid-card situation story here.
Yeah.
But this is why I love NXT, is because NXT will do this shit. And if it doesn't work,
they're very
I won't see it again,
yes.
But it's very fun in the moment to
yes.
see if it's working or not.
They're very experimental in NXT, and I like that.
It is. And it is. It's a nice change of pace from the chaos.
It doesn't take itself too seriously.
From the chaos of AEW and the superstructure of main roster. NXT is kind of like a palate cleanser where they just throw shit at the wall to see what happens. I found out an interesting thing, and this is the last thing we'll talk about with NXT, and then we'll move on to AEW. But I saw this interview that Shawn Michaels, where Mustafa Ali is down in NXT, and him and Wes Lee are going to fight this week. That match should be excellent. Wes Lee's excellent. And Ali's excellent.
I was going to say, so is Ali.
Tyler Bate kind of on the fringes, too. That's just a really good title scene right now.
It is, yes.
But Shawn Michaels did an interview where he said that he's always been a fan of Mustafa Ali, and he's always like gone to the main roster, been like, "Hey, if you guys don't have anything for him, I'd love to have him in NXT because I'll find something for him to do."
Yeah.
So I thought it was kind of cool that Shawn Michaels has apparently always been a huge Mustafa Ali fan.
Which good for Ali because he does not get enough credit. He is so underrated. Mm-hmm. Like, I think he is super underrated.
I remember really enjoying Mustafa Ali when he was on 205 Live.
Remember when WWE did this thing a couple years ago, pre-COVID times, where they ran this story on Ali about how it was basically giving themselves a pat on the back because is he Muslim?
Yes.
They were pushing a Muslim. Do you remember that? Mm-hmm. They gave themselves a pat on the back because they were pushing a Muslim, right?
Yeah.
and then he just disappeared.
Yeah.
And I was like, so WWE, were you only pushing him to run this story, congratulating yourself for doing this when you could have been doing this whole time? And then once it was done, you were, okay, Ollie.
Hey, nobody's better than breaking glass ceilings that they themselves put in place than WWE.
That's
Nobody's
true.
better than that. Nobody's better at it than that.
Yes. That's so true.
Yeah, that's their thing. It's like,
this is so great. But it's like, but you did this. You did it. So you're applauding yourself for changing.
That's why everybody teases them and says, like, whenever Stephanie McMahon's there, like, remember when she invented women's wrestling? Like,
I know.
But,
oh, God.
Yeah, NXT continues to be its fun little experimental self. I continue to recommend it to everybody. There's a lot of stuff on NXT that's not for everybody, but it is fun to see what they try.
Yes.
And what they try to get to work.
Yeah, agreed.
So
That's
I think
good at AEW, though.
I think we're ready to go all elite.
Yes.
So AEW is still doing their blind eliminator tag team tournament, but we do have the finals. The finals are set on Collision tonight. Is it tonight?
I think so.
Or is it next week? I can't remember.
I think it's
Collision's weird for me because, like, by the time we're talking about Collision, there's another Collision right around the corner.
Yeah.
But we're gonna have MJF and Cole, which I expected to get to the final,
Oh,
and it was actually
just so fun together.
They are. I'm really enjoying the two of them together.
Yes.
I'm enjoying it a lot more than I thought I was going to.
Yes.
And they had a match with Big Bill and Brian Cage, and of course MJF was like running away from him and everything, and it's really funny and bizarre to watch MJF use dirty tactics while working as a face.
Yes.
It's very strange.
But then we're seeing like Adam Cole pick up little dirty
Yeah, because Adam
tactics.
Cole did the eye poke as well to get out of the situation.
Yes.
And Roddy Strong does not approve of this.
Roddy Strong is not happy with his broken freaking neck.
No, he's not. He's not. He just looks so sad and
Which is
grumpy
so
with his
funny
neck
because
brace.
he's so against MJF. You would think, I think you said this, you would think that MJF was the one that broke his neck.
There's Samoa Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to have an issue with Samoa Joe. Like, that seems to be fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically, those two are teaming together. Roddy Strong's not happy. They're kind of adopting each other's tendencies.
Yeah.
They've even extended it to AEW with RJ City, where MJF's episode this week was only 3 minutes because he literally pretended that he wanted to talk to people, and then he lit the sign on fire.
Yeah.
And then there was a YouTube video later in the week where Adam Cole went and apologized to RJ City and fixed everything. So I love that it's extended even into RJ City's universe. That's one of the fun things about AEW is, like, you never know where a story is going to continue at because of all the programming they have and all of the outside promotions they work with. You never know where a story is going to pick up at.
Right. With WWE, it's very confined.
Yeah, it's
like
WWE
it might go to
exists in its own
NXT,
bubble.
but like
Yeah, it might.
They're on their own little island by themselves.
Yeah, but they are branching out to their little sub island of NXT here.
That they've created.
Yeah. Once again, great at breaking through glass ceilings and barriers they put up. On the other side, we had Daniel Garcia and Sammy Guevara beat Darby Allin and Orange Cassidy. And I'm really...
It was a good match.
It was. I'm happy for Garcia and Guevara. I won't lie, there is a little bit of disappointment that I wanted to see MJF handle Orange Cassidy's tendencies and Orange Cassidy's quirks. I wanted to see that happen, but at the same time, I'm okay with this final. I think MJF and Cole are probably going to win the whole thing, or they're going to lose and MJF's going to get really angry. I'm not sure what's going to happen, and I think when I'm not sure what's going to happen, that's a good thing in wrestling.
It is.
Especially when both paths present an interesting option.
It's going to be a good match, though, because we're going to have MJF and Adam Cole versus Garcia and Sammy, so it's going to be good.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good match.
And I'm sorry, every time Daniel Garcia does his little dance, it kills me. It absolutely just kills me with laughter.
Yeah.
And I think it's like the determination on his face while he's doing it. Like, there's just all kinds of pieces to it. But this tournament's been kind of, I hate to say it, the tournament's kind of been inconsequential to this point.
Yeah. Like, there was no, how the heck is it a blind eliminator tag team
when half of
tournament
them have a history or have some kind of link.
Yeah, so not the greatest booking with this tournament,
but
it's giving me good matches.
But
I'm not gonna really complain.
honestly, I'm okay because the matches I've gotten have been pretty okay. And if it wasn't for this tournament, I wouldn't have this MJF Adam Cole friendship.
I mean, that's true.
So I mean, while the tournament itself has been kind of just there, it's given me some fun stuff.
And it's kind of it continues kind of building with like Jericho Appreciation Society stuff too, because there was some tension between Sammy Guevara and Daniel Garcia during the match. So it's been very give and take with this tournament. Yeah,
we've gotten some good stuff out of it. There's been a lot of stuff that's just been kind of there.
Yeah.
Switching over to the other tournament. So the Owen Hart finals are tonight on Collision, and in the men's we have CM Punk and Ricky Starks. Really interested to see who turns heel because I don't think both of them are getting out as baby faces. I feel like it's really going to depend on the crowd reaction to Punk. On the women's side, we're going to have Ruby Soho versus Willow Nightingale. Willow Nightingale beat Athena last
which was
night.
Awesome.
I wish I would have been able to stay awake.
He fell asleep to the point he was on our couch and his head was burrowed down in, snoring very loudly.
And what sucks is that's the match I was looking most forward to on Rampage. I was excited about that match all week.
Such a hard hitter.
Yeah, I was, and Willow is too. I was really excited for that match all week, and I'm so disappointed that I slept through it. I'm gonna try to go back and watch it before we take Rampage off the DVR. I'm gonna try to go back and watch it. So I think Ruby and Willow will be good, and I think Punk and Starks will be good. So
yeah.
And I'm interested to see how things shake out.
Yeah, because we had Sky Blue. I don't think we mentioned that Ruby beat Sky Blue.
Ruby beat Sky Blue, yes. Yeah. I feel like Sky Blue is going to be something in the future. So that covers the Owen Hart tournament. So that covers AEW's tournaments that they got going on. So the next big story that we'll go into with AEW is Blood and Guts. So we know who our 5th members now are. And I definitely think it's elevated the match to, oh my god, I can't wait to see this for Blood and Guts next week.
I agree with that.
We got the Blackpool Combat Club's 5th member first, which was Pac. Excellent choice.
Yes.
Excellent choice.
Yes.
So we got Pac, and he's kind of reigniting his feud with Kenny because he's always kind of been at odds with Kenny.
What did he say? He broke his nose bone.
His nose bone was the way he said it. And I just love Pac. I love Pac so much.
I do too. He's so talented.
So glad he's back. On the Elite side, we got a video package for who was coming because they were getting ready to destroy Omega. And it was kind of funny because Omega's like laying there dying, and he's just like watching the screen.
So dramatic.
I was like, I love it. And so we get the video package, and as long been suspected, our 5th member for the Elite is Kota Ibushi.
The Golden Lovers Unite.
Yes. And I am ready for some
Humbucks and Golden Lovers.
I am ready for the hour-long beating that is going to take place next in Boston on Wednesday.
Yes.
I think it's going to be like the other Blood and Guts matches where they're probably going to get the entire second hour.
Probably.
And honestly, let me tell you something.
Let me talk.
Okay, yeah. I think it says a lot about the talent in this match where it doesn't feel like we're missing a beat and we've actually lost Bryan Danielson.
Oh my god.
From the match. So, like, I feel like that's how good this is going to be.
Yeah.
That
very true.
And we lost Kingston and we lost Bryan Danielson, and it's still going to be exciting and fun.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it, and I enjoy car crash matches, and Jon Moxley is the freaking maestro of car crash matches.
I actually dread Blood and Guts matches because it's just too much blood for me. That's just not
Especially
my
with
thing.
Jon Moxley involved.
Like, I think it's going to be very good, but I think it's going to be too bloody for me also. So, like, that makes me nervous, but I'm still going to watch it. Probably just, like...
Dude, you would never survive New Japan Moxley. No. It's so much more brutal than he is over here.
Really? And people bitch about how brutal he is.
No, I don't hear people bitching about how brutal he is. I hear people bitching about the blood.
Oh, I thought you meant that he bleeds a lot in New Japan.
No, I mean like skewers in the head, like like more violence.
Oh,
more violence.
I know people complain about how much he bleeds.
You know what?
I don't like the blood, but I don't give a shit if he wants to bleed. Let him
if that's how he wants to tell his stories, that's fine. Because you know what, Jon Moxley entertains me in no way.
And I'm gonna probably tell you guys something that probably nobody else knows. you can watch a wrestling show and not like people. I despise CM Punk, and I'm still watching the show. Like, it's okay.
Speaking of blood and guts, we're going to pivot a little bit because the Blackpool Combat Club got a little bit more going on. Well, Don Callis in particular has a little bit more going on. So Don Callis has been trying to court Jericho for the last couple weeks, which Jericho Appreciation Society is not very happy with. I'm happy with it because I want to see Jericho do something
Jake
different.
Hager gave up his purple hat.
Yeah.
And because basically he was like, listen, what you decide impacts me.
Yeah.
So until you decide, I'm done.
And
here's my hat.
This is one of the things I love about wrestling. So when you get invested in something and somebody gets you invested in something, it's amazing what will make you happy and what will break your heart. The noise the crowd made when Hager took his hat off, it was like he had turned heel on one of the decently over baby faces. Like, he took his hat off and the crowd just went, oh. Like, it's just like where we started with that. And props to Jake Hager. Like, Jake Hager's always been kind of a not much to him, not much personality kind of thing.
The hat gave him some personality.
Yeah, the dude got the hat over.
Yes.
All
because
he
said, and I like this hat one time, and it just took off.
Yeah. And it became like a point in matches with him. Like,
yes.
But the fact that we've gotten all the way full circle to he took off the hat and the crowd reacted, it's just, this is why wrestling is better than the things you like. Because it's stupid stuff like that we react to. It's just... This is why I keep coming back. This is why I come back to wrestling, because
wrestling
like
does a good job at like connecting with like emotions.
Yeah, it
like
does.
the littlest things, and like that's how you get with people. So you connect with them like on an emotional level, and like yes.
Yeah. So I love that, and the fact that Jericho treated it as a big deal, and Hager was so somber about it.
He was.
It's professional wrestling. Please don't ever go away. Any other form of entertainment can go away. Just let wrestling survive. Do you think Jericho's going to end up joining Callis?
I think so.
You think so? I do too.
I think so.
I do too.
Yeah.
I can see Jericho helping out in the Blood and Guts match. And that's how they're going to introduce the idea that he's with them now. But we'll see.
Like helping
Callis' crew.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like Blackpool Combat Club people?
Yeah. But I hope not, because honestly, I think the Elite and Blackpool Combat Club feud needs to end at Blood and Guts.
It is going to end, remember? They said it was going to be the definitive end.
That's what they said about Moxley and Hangman's Texas Death match at Revolution, too.
Well, don't you fuck with me, AEW. Don't you do it. I was ready for it to end.
Yeah. Well, maybe it will. Maybe it will. I think we're going to pivot to Kingston and Moxley, which I'm here for, because that's going to have all the emotions in the world, too.
Yes.
So for the women's titles in AEW, Toni Storm finally has a feud. It's for Battle of the Belt, so it's a one-off. But I like the idea of the match. I like the idea of a Toni Storm Taya Valkyrie match.
I do too. Because they're both talented.
It's confusing, though, because I feel like we just turned Taya heel, and now the Outcasts are putting her down. I kind of thought they were going to recruit Taya.
I think sometimes you need to get out of the mindset of face and heel. Mm-hmm. Because that's a hang-up for you a lot of times. Especially in AEW. Mm-hmm. Like, you get hung up on that a lot. You're like, but they're both faces. They're both heels. And
I guess I'm just kind of old school in that way, in the fact that, to me, a wrestling match is more engaging when you have somebody that you're rooting for and somebody that you're rooting against.
It doesn't matter to me, honestly. As long as I like the people, I'm probably going to be invested.
I mean, there are times where it doesn't matter, because, we've heard plenty of chants where people were like, both these guys.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But I think Toni and Taya will have a good match regardless.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just want Toni to get into more of a long-term feud. And Tony Khan, if you're waiting for Jamie Hayter to get back, you could have already run a feud through while you're waiting for her to get back. Tony Khan, the world doesn't have to stop because there's an injury. That frustrates me when he does that.
Yeah.
Because that's stalled out so many people.
Or then the people finally come back and it's like, you rush the storyline. It's like, but that storyline is long sailed. Like,
yeah.
So, yeah.
Like Keith Lee and Swerve, we've never gotten their one-on-one, and honestly, I love Keith Lee, I love Swerve. I don't care if they go one-on-one at this point.
Yeah.
And that's really sad, because I was really hyped for them to go one-on-one at one point.
Yeah.
That's my one of my knocks on Tony Khan, is it's just, it doesn't always seem like he knows when to strike. Mm-hmm. Or when something has either run its course or been too idle. Mm-hmm. Speaking of Swerve, Nick Wayne made his AEW debut this week, and the fact that dude's 18 and he's doing the things that he's doing is insane.
Right?
It's insane.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because you have Billy Starks for the women that's also 18, but Nick Wayne's literally been 18 for like a week.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good match. I was surprised that Swerve won, but at the same time, I've been wanting Swerve to be more of a threat anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I want Swerve at like the world title level, so I'm okay with Nick Wayne losing here. I was just a little surprised that it happened.
Yeah.
As far as the tag team titles, FTR and Bullet Club Gold had an outstanding match on Collision last week.
Mm-hmm.
That was a damn good match. And it was one of those things, it felt like a pay-per-view match. That was the one when I said that Ilya and Braun was my match of the week. That's the one that I was like, well, that was technically last week. That was the one that would have taken it had it been this week. But Bullet Club Gold won, which is interesting because AEW does a lot of these matches where the challenger faces the champion for the right to face the champion. And most of the time the challenger loses and we move on. I think AEW did a good job of actually having them win this time because now those are going to feel more like, oh, maybe.
I just hate that, though.
I mean, it's different. It's different whenever you're doing it like Jon Moxley versus, and this is no disrespect to anybody that I'm going to mention, but like when you would do Jon Moxley versus like Commander, I know you have no plans to make Commander world champion. You haven't built a story for him for that. So that doesn't make any sense to me. Bullet Club Gold, during the match, I was like, they probably won't win, but I feel like they definitely have a chance. Mm-hmm. So then when they did win, it made sense that they won. So yeah, if you're going to use it that way, go ahead. But if you're doing just like random person gets it, it's pretty predictable.
Yeah.
So I like the way we used it here, not so much the way we've used it in the past.
Yeah.
But that has resulted in this week on Collision tonight, we're going to get a 2 out of 3 falls match for the tag titles between FTR and Bullet Club Gold.
Which will be good.
That match will be excellent.
Yes.
The Collision tonight's going to be a great show.
Collision is typically pretty good.
Yeah, there's some great stuff lined up tonight.
Yes. Like, I mean, I understand there's not much story, it's not people's complaints, but I think they're building.
The stories that are there are building. Yeah.
Like, it's a new show. We're watching stories be built, so it's good.
Yeah. I mean, Hobbs is on the outs with QT now.
Yeah.
And Hobbs got a pop for that. And a lot of people are like, oh, is he turning face? I don't think he's turning face. I think he's just pissed. I don't think Hobbs is going to go face yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely check out Collision. They've got some good stuff cooking over there.
They do. It's a shitty time and a shitty day, though.
It is.
Who wants to watch wrestling on Saturday at 8 p.m.?
Yeah.
I'm not even doing anything on Saturdays typically. And I still don't want to watch
it. Last
Saturdays.
week we saved it and watched it Sunday afternoon.
I just don't. I don't like to watch wrestling on Saturdays unless it's a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
So like it's weird to me that there's wrestling on the weekend because it's pay-per-view time.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, so I struggle watching it, but it's good when I do watch it.
Yeah. There's a lot of good stuff going on over there.
Yeah.
And I know the man you hate, but CM Punk's doing good stuff over there too.
I hate him. And I hate myself for admitting this, but I don't understand. I'm doing the whole thing where I backpedal again. Mm-hmm. I get why people think he's doing a good job.
Okay.
That's the best you're going to get for a compliment for that man. Mm-hmm. From me. Yeah.
But I'll say I don't think his promos have lost a step. His in-ring, I think he's better in-ring now than he was right before he left.
And that's my fucking issue.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe having the title stripped? I don't know.
Is it even stripped, though? Like, is he going to get a title back? Because I could see him being handed a title.
He seems to be carrying one around with him.
I could see him just being handed a title. And I understand that Collision needs a title. Don't get me wrong.
I don't think it does.
It's a whole other show. It needs a title.
But MJF showed up on it. This ain't Raw and SmackDown.
I guess that is true.
Yeah, Collision doesn't need a world title. That would be a terrible idea. AEW has enough belts.
Maybe just spread them out more?
Maybe, because it seems like the TNT title is going to strictly be on Collision. It seems like the tag titles are going to strictly be on Collision.
That's true. So I guess they do have titles.
Yeah. No, Collision does not need a world title. No.
Well, basically...
If anything, they're going to do Punk and MJF at either All In or All Out to unite them, and MJF should absolutely win that match.
I think CM Punk will win. Maybe it's just me being bitter, but it's like CM Punk gets this... He could get like a golden shit handed to him. I don't think CM Punk will win for the reason that I think that MJF was always meant to take the title off of CM Punk if he didn't get hurt. Let's talk about the Dark Order. Which they're they're just getting the shitty end of the stick too, because they did nothing wrong. Their friend deserted them, but yet they're the heels.
Yeah, I don't think Dark Order's in the wrong. And I don't think Hangman's a bad guy. I think he's just a bad friend.
They literally said in their promo, "We're tired of people leaving us." I understand. It's hard being left behind. Like, it sucks. So, like...
I think we're in one of those instances where the Dark Order is completely justified in how angry they are and frustrated. Because, like, Stu came back, and now Stu's gone, because Stu's with the Righteous.
Yes.
Cole Cabana on Being the Elite was looking for them.
But he got roped into months. Well, he's been going for months, so he didn't know.
Yeah.
Didn't know about all the drama going down, because he went to the Bucks, asking if they'd seen the Dark Order.
Yeah.
So.
And they're like, "Oh, we hate those guys," and he's like, "What?" Like,
he's like, "I've been gone for a couple months. I don't know what's going on."
Yeah. So yeah, I think the Dark Order is justified. I think this would be a good chance to give Dark Order an edge again.
Let them win
Let them be a threat.
Stop cussing, Susan.
Let them be a threat.
One freaking match.
Yeah. This is no disrespect meant here. So I'm going to be very careful with how I word this. But I think the Dark Order needs to become a threat again and not the Brody Lee Tribute Act anymore. If we're not going to do that, we need to dissolve it.
Well, they kind of said, too, in their promo on Rampage yesterday, they were like, we have to reignite ourselves, basically. Like, we've got to get back who we are. We've got to get back to that point. So if they go back to how they were when Dark Order first started, like, just murdering people, I'm okay with that. Just not lose every week.
And let's make it more interesting than we did the first time, because the first go around early AEW, Dark Order was hard to get into.
I think it will be, because we know them more. Yeah. Johnny Hunky's over.
Yeah,
John Silver is like. I myself love Evil Uno.
Yeah.
We have our cats are named. We both have a cat named Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
So
this is true.
And I got to interrogate Uno, which was fun. Remember?
Yeah, I remember.
So that was fun.
I remember.
Remember?
I remember. So tonight, after Collision, we're going to have Battle of the Belts, and this is just a quick rundown. So we're going to have Taya Valkyrie and Toni Storm, Lance Archer and Orange Cassidy, which Lance Archer beat Trent Beretta last night, and just called out Orange Cassidy. This is the one thing with Battle of the Belts, is it seems like nothing's really... It's just kind of like, hey, let's do this. Like, there's not long-term stories for it. Like, I hate to say it, Battle of the Belts feels almost pointless.
I agree, because do the titles really even change on there that much?
There's only been one change, and it was Sammy Guevara beating Scorpio Sky for the TNT title.
So, like...
And then our other match is Luchasaurus and Shawn Spears.
I forgot about that
This one has been built for a couple
build, but I
weeks.
forgot about it, and that was one that's had the build.
Yeah. So, I'm surprised you forgot about it, because Christian's right in the middle of it.
I love Christian. I love Luchasaurus. I like Shawn Spears.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So that's what's going on with Battle of the Belts. And that kind of wraps up AEW's discussion for this week.
Overall, it was a good wrestling week, I think.
Match of the week for me, Braun and Ilya. Show of the week for me.
I would say SmackDown, but they're pissing me off with all the recaps. So I'm going to go with NXT.
I'll go with SmackDown sans the recaps.
I'm picking NXT, because NXT is always my fallback when I can't remember my favorite show of the week, because I can't remember which one I like best at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So I always fall back to NXT, because I always enjoy NXT.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of...
I know that Dynamite did fly by yesterday, though.
Yeah. You mean Wednesday?
Or Wednesday. Oh, God. Wednesday. Yeah.
Yeah, it did. There's a lot of good wrestling out there. Make sure you go check it out. Check out your local indie promotions. Support those guys. And we'll be back next week to cover the upcoming week in wrestling. So, with that, I think we're good.
Bye!
Did you like that video? Like, subscribe, and comment to the Figures and Flippy Shit Wrestling Podcast. Oh, yeah!
You want to talk about the Dark Order?
Let's move on from Punk.
You want to talk about the Dark Order?
Yeah, because he just pisses me off. Because mainly, one last thing.
You were doing really well. You were having such a civil conversation about
it. It's mainly because I'm very conflicted about how I should feel about him.
Mm-hmm.
So then I take it out on him. I don't know how to feel about Punk.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to feel about him.
Mm-hmm.
It's very personal for me why I don't like him also.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I cannot separate that. And it's like,
But like, you know, when you watch him, you're like, he's clearly good at what he does. I just don't. I can't appreciate it to the
I think
extent
he's
that
full of
should.
shit though too. The things that he says too on the mic. Tell me when I'm telling lies, motherfucker. You lie all the damn time. So like, shut up. And then he's like, weak-minded, weak whatever, and it's like, motherfucker, that's you. Like, you can't handle it. You throw tantrums. But yet you think everybody else should be able to handle whatever you throw at them.
So you think it's projection?
I think he's just a goddamn hypocrite and delusional.